Okay.
Sorry to comment. That's weird to say that because like it's playing on my end of things.
Yeah, it wasn't playing for me or anything like that,
Oh,
so I
yeah.
was wondering what was going on.
All right, yeah, it played pretty fine on my end, no issues. But we'll check
Okay.
when we're done with the recording.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? So tonight we are talking about the last 4 episodes of Welcome to Derry or It Welcome to Derry. Um, there's so much to talk about these last 4 episodes. We had so much stuff happening. Obviously, when we left off, we talked about episode 4 with Bill Skarsgård returning as Pennywise. We finally got the first local Pennywise in episode 4. 5, 6, 7, and 8 kind of fleshed more of that out. And we got a chance to see, Bill Skarsgård having fun and really enjoying this character. It's probably gonna be the most fun character he's probably will ever have playing. And just so many different things they did with Pennywise compared to the movies. Um, so many great moments with them, some really great horrific moments. Pennywise, I think, after the show, to me, has become even more of an iconic character, and he's really up there with like the Freddy Kruegers, the Jasons, the Michael Myers, uh, you know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and all these other like well-known supernatural or villains and stuff like that. So I'm really excuse me, sorry about that. I'm really ready to get into this and talk about the last 4 episodes. My initial thoughts on this after watching the final episode, the finale for season 1. Just wow, like they really did a really good job paying off some stuff, being a little more fan service, kind of giving you the things you were hoping, and it really delivered. It exceeded past my expectations. When I started the show, I didn't really know what I was going to get. And by the end of this, I mean, the writing, the character development, the performances, the payoffs, the big reveals where you can't wait for season 2 now that we have an idea of why we're going back in time, and which we'll talk about. But like, um, great job to Andy Muschietti, Bobby Muschietti, HBO, Warner Brothers. Pennywise, they really extended past the movies, and I can't wait for season 2 and where they go next. Hats off to Bill Skarsgård. Hats off to all the people who worked on the show, and the sets, the costume designs, the music, the performances. I can go on and on and on, but like Digital, I know you want to say some stuff shortly, but I just want to play this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
Here it is. All right, man. Share your thoughts, man.
So my thoughts when I had my conspiracy theory about a lot of things, and they actually came true, which I'm glad I was correct about, and that makes me like happy about this. So before I get into like all the stuff, whatever, I like these characters, how they brought them together and everything. Understand it took a long time to get to Pennywise and Bill Skarsgård and everything like that, but they had to build up these characters, and and what they actually done with the show, and I actually loved how like the storytelling was just absolutely beautiful, and especially a lot of the characters that we come to love and enjoy is you find out
Absolutely.
two of them are actually, spoiler alert, one of the losers clubs.
Well, it's full spoilers. If you haven't watched the show or listen to our
Yeah, yeah.
podcast, like we're not gonna hold anything back. We're just
No,
gonna
I'm not. I'm
talk
not, I'm
about it.
not holding
Yeah.
any back. Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying. But yeah, I think that's pretty interesting and everything like that, because it seems to me that so Pennywise, I guess he can time travel, and if you think about that for a second,
Well, that was the big reveal. I mean, the big reveal was
yeah,
that if you want to get into that part first, because it's the
yeah. I mean, I
finale,
had to, yeah,
he
because
sees time very differently than how we do. So, the big
that's
reveal was the fact
yeah,
that he can, to him, he has no a day, tomorrow. He has no a past, present, future. It's all the same
yeah.
to
That's
him.
what's crazy about that.
The reveal was I guess the entity is going back in time to kill the loser's parents, grandparents, and prevent his death from happening in chapter 2. That was the reveal when Marge and Lee had that conversation at the end where they were like, like, yeah, he said I had a son and all this, and my son does it, Richie does this, and yada yada yada. Lily, which is kind of a realist after the shit she's been through every episode, she's just like, well, that's someone else's problem, which I'm like,
Yeah,
damn. but that was a big reveal where now I'm looking forward to season two and what do they do differently, which we'll talk about with season two. But I think another big one was episode 7, the black spot, which is again probably one of the best.
Explaining the creature's like origin story and everything where he came from, you know?
Yeah, that with Bob Gray, but also just how violent, how wild that was, and it was one of the best horror stuff on TV. I mean, you
Yes.
got Pennywise
Agreed.
who makes a quote face on face after eating someone's face.
Yeah.
That was a crazy moment. I mean, the stuff that happens with the people in the military base or the place that they were in, and how they're in, just trying to get those kids out and take a chance to talk to other people.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know,
And you actually find out, of course, with that same man is the same dude that's from The Shining. So there you
oh
go.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We that was the big reveal in the beginning of the series was like he is from The
Yes.
Shining, and we got a nice little a nice little reveal of like, well, I'm going to be working in a hotel. It can't be that bad.
Yep. You can. Yep. That, and I'm like, yeah, that's him from The Shining. Once he says that,
Yeah.
it's done. Yeah.
Yep. And the stuff with the pillars too. The pillars, the history of Pennywise or it, and how that entity's been there for probably millions of years, and these pillars that the Native Americans used to trap them within Derry. So that was a little more of another layer of the origin of Pennywise and the characters, and more of the history too, which is something I don't think we got too much of in the book. Maybe some glimpses of, but this really fleshed out some of those glimpses, which is great.
Yeah.
UC Eddie, I think when you talk about speaking of the time traveling stuff, there was a moment in the book that he mentioned where like that really interested him about Pennywise or it, where he
Yep.
kind of wanted fleshed out with the show, which was the time traveling stuff, because they didn't really go into it in the book, but this was something he expanded on. So he was really looking for some stuff, kind of reveal that he was looking for some things to expand on that the book didn't, which was great because you got more material. And for this universe and world, I thought this was really good. Um, New layers for Pennywise, and just you see this character, this entity a little more differently than how you saw him in the movies. You know, um,
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is
yeah,
also what I loved about too, I liked how they said like, Pennywise or aka the creature is scared of the pillars, you know?
well, yeah, it has something from his home world or origin, which kept
Yes.
him, unless which weakened him or just kind of neutralized him a little bit. Which we saw a little bit of that in episode 6, where was it 6 or 5? I think it was 5, right? Was it episode 5? Uh,
I think
Five, yeah,
no, no, no.
it
Was
was
it?
5. It was 5,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was 5. Yeah, yeah. So it
Because
was 5 and everything
they
like that.
go, the
Just
military goes to Nebot Street and they're trying to find Pennywise. So we got to reveal the house again. We see the well, and I think that's when Leroy's best friend, I think Paulie, gets killed because thanks to Pennywise really messing with everybody's heads. And at the very end, he was ready to kill Lily, but the pillar, which was right there, basically saved her from getting eaten. Um,
true.
so that was a big moment where like, oh wow, these pillars are very interesting. And then episode 6 kind of focus. I think episode 6 focused a little more on that too. 6 really kind of dive into some of the pillars, building up to the black spot,
Yep. That build up
Marge
also the
confronting her. Yeah,
too, and also what happened with those racist people of what they done and everything. Of course, we
yeah,
already knew they were gonna do that.
yeah. And then we got I think episode 6. We got the 1935 scene with Ingrid who sees Pennywise thanks to her dad. So that's when she has his
Yes.
idea, like,
Yes.
oh my god, that's my like she thought he was not dead and seeing Pennywise and thinking that's Bob Gray and Pennywise manipulating her. That's some other stuff we'll talk about too. What I didn't know was that they had 2 different actresses playing the character. Like one was the 62 version, and then they brought in a younger actress who kind of looked like the same actress from 62 playing the 35 one. That was another some really good moments with Pennywise, black and white, chasing after that little
I
girl.
love that. I love that
Yeah,
how they actually did that. And you and me were right about this the entire time when It Chapter 2 came out. We were wondering whether or not that there's more to like Pennywise's story, and clearly there is because yeah,
yeah,
he absolutely did have a daughter.
Yeah, I mean they teased that in chapter two and with Ingrid and the old lady, which we also get another big like connection to chapter one, which was great.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that too. Ingrid, I thought was the theories with her were true. Like she is Bob Gray's daughter. She misses her dad. I think with episode 7, we got a little bit of like their relationship, a little bit like Bob Gray. I thought Bill Skarsgård really did a good job with the voice and kind of showing you a little bit what Bob Gray was like. Is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? He's just a guy who just like a lot of people who's down on bad luck and just hopes to catch a break and get back to the circus and be the big spotlight again. And he's just down on his down. He's just down on his luck, and probably his wife or yeah, I think his wife or someone left him or she passed away, whatever it was. There's just so much stuff that we don't know about Pennywise or Bob Gray, which I'm sure we'll get in the third season. Um, you know, but the little stuff with her with Ingrid and Bob Gray, you kind of see that he was a loving father who loved his daughter and um, named her Pennywinkle. I think Pennywinkle, probably butchering it, but like that was important to him and important to her to know that we kind of see why she loves. We kind of see why she's not obsessive, but she really her dad. She's her dad's little girl, I guess, and you can see when she sees him in 65, it's just like she thinks it's going to rekindle the same thing. But
But
yeah,
she thinks it is like
excuse me.
the same person. And the thing, like when she starts to realize that it's not, and she puts it together because
Took you
even like
27 years.
yeah, after that, every 27 years, she could tell like you're not my father. Who are you? And then like of course, the thing like reveals herself like to her and
Herself,
everything.
yeah.
She gets terrified because automatically she sees his dead lights. That's
Yep,
it. For her, yeah.
absolutely. Um, that was another great moment too. And as a fan, you're like, man, we all saw this. You couldn't,
Dude,
but when you watch episode 7 with her relationship with her dad, you see a little bit of that. You kind of see why she just loved her father and she'd do anything for him because he was just a good father to her, And I see that it's really good character development, really good TV writing, or good character writing. All the performances was just phenomenal. I can't say there was any bad performances in this. You know, with General Shaw, what happened to him? I mean, the actor was phenomenal. The like I mentioned before, I think my favorite two characters was Richie
yeah,
Santos and Dick Halloran. Those were my two favorite characters. I like Leroy. I did like Will. I like Charlotte. I thought they were great. I liked Lily a little bit. Marge, it comes down to the actress just doing a phenomenal job. Because in the beginning, I'm like, just eat this kid. All right, I can't stand her. She's a two-faced, yada yada yada. And because
yeah.
of the performance that she brought, she really turned you into going like, you want to root for her. And then the big
Yeah.
reveal
You
about
find
her
out what the
being
big reveal
Richie's,
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
was Richie's mother, and it's like, wow, like, oh shit.
That was
So,
like a twist. I'm like, yeah. And I was like, where to see that? I'm like,
well,
oh,
there's a
oh,
well,
they,
that's been a fan theory for a while now. I think some people probably picked that up. I think within the last
yeah.
3 or 4 episodes, because she started featuring more, and somebody kind of pointed out maybe
I
she's
think,
Richie Tozer's mom.
true,
Um,
true. I also want,
they weren't, and Musiani didn't really like hide it either. I think he kind of told you while watching the show without telling you, official.
no,
Um,
they didn't really hide nothing or anything like
yeah,
that. I also wanted to say, true, which I love too, is like what they did. They had Pennywise with a wagon, and like he kept blowing this trumpet, and you see like all the kids like in a big ass line floating in the air.
yeah,
Like I was just like
like
that.
the Pied Piper,
Yeah,
just
Pied
kind of,
Piper. Yeah, I
yeah,
really like that.
that
Yeah,
was
that was
really good
really cool.
in episode 8. Yeah, that was awesome. The whole scenery stuff was really awesome. 7, the black spot was just how Pennywise went all you can eat buffet and just kind of like
Yep.
munched on kids, adults. He didn't care who you were. That was like his big moment. Like in each 27 years, he has these big event, chaotic moments. This was the black spot, and um, I did like the fact he got Mr. Kirsch chopped his head off. I thought that was pretty good. I was like, fuck that guy. Um,
Yeah, that's just crazy. I
yeah,
agree too. And the thing also what I liked about I thought Bill Skarsgård always, like I said before, And I said this many times. As much as people love Tim Curry, don't get me wrong, but I love Bill Skarsgård for playing Pennywise. I
Oh
honestly,
yeah, I mean, he just brings this physical presence, and like he does a lot of facial reactions.
yep.
He brings a couple of different voices. It's not always the same voice. Sometimes it's very clownish, and then sometimes it's
Or
very
sometimes it sounds like
serious,
evil
and
Scooby
sometimes
Doo. Yeah.
he just kind of changes it up, and like he just has, you could just tell from each scene he's playing
He's enjoying
Pennywise,
it.
he's just having a freaking blast. He's like, "Fuck you kids, I am gonna terrorize you guys," and and it goes down to between him and Andy Muschietti. When I listened to their interview um after the finale with some of their ideas, and they were just talking about how like they just continue to have fun with this character in this world, and
Yeah.
they just have this kind of like coach and player relationship where it's like they're in linked with how they want Pennywise to perceive the things they want to do with him. They're on the same wavelength, which is great. Um, I'm really excited for season 2, but I really hope Bill Skarsgård gets an Emmy for his performance. I mean, he just brought another layer to Pennywise, and then doing the whole Bob Gray, like I mentioned, just like giving you something a little different than what you've had previously, and
True.
tease a little bit what Bob Gray was. I mean, we don't really know everything about him. We don't know what happened to his wife, but we know something happened. We know that we know like Bob Gray is no longer in the big show circus like he used to be, and
Yeah.
we did get an answer of how the it saw him and saw how he lured a lot of kids because of his performance, and he had a great act, which it knew like, oh, this is the thing I need to lure these kids in. They love clowns, they love entertainment. This is my way of getting the kids, because he saw all these kids jumping all over him in the middle of his act, and it's just like that was another great moment within episode 7.
Yeah.
uh I want to go back to the episode 6 with the Nebot Street with Leroy and Polly. I mean, that was really tough moment, and you just see Pennywise manipulating everything and really mentally messing up Leroy, because Leroy's like, he's supposed to be the guy without fear, and like Pennywise has found a way to really bring his fears out without making him feel like he's afraid. He's using his family against him. He was able to
Yeah.
manipulate him to kill his own friend after he saw Charlotte, which was Pennywise in disguise, and those were some really psychological stuff that he had to really deal with and overcome. And you kind of see a little bit when you see chapter 1 when he's with with Mike. You see why he's a little more cold hearted. I mean, there's got to be more to what happens after the show, but like you just see like he's mentally scarred from some of the shit that happened to him. I think Will Will and Leroy with their scenes in episode, I think it's 7 or 6 or 7, I think it was 7, where they got this whole screaming match, and Leroy put his hands on him. It's just damn, like Pennywise really got to him, really changed him too, which just shows you this is what Pennywise does, or it does to the people of Derry, where like when they come into Derry, he really does a 360 on them without them realizing it.
Yeah.
You know. What else, Digital? Do you have any? I'm sure you have more to talk
Yeah,
about.
there's more to really talk about and everything like that. Like I said, with I still like that scene with the pad pipe where he actually called Will's father, and then like he's talking to him so creepy on the phone, and he's telling him stay away from his son. Back in the wagon, gotta keep him
Yeah.
nice and
Oh,
fresh. And it sounded like an evil Scooby Doo. I was laughing at that.
just to circle back, episode 6 is where Leroy and Will gets into this big argument after Polly dies.
Yes.
Episode 5. So
Yeah.
just to clarify that.
No, I understand that. I was just talking about my favorite part, and there's a lot of favorite parts I like. I can't even deny that. How they actually pulled this off,
Yeah.
did a good job, and of course, like I would say this is more of when people say a prequel, this is a sequel.
Well, that was the big reveal at the very end. They revealed that this is technically a sequel going through a prequel past. If that makes any sense, but very clearly, Andy Muschietti has a plan for where this season went, where second season goes and third season goes. Because the question was, how are you going to continue to get people to watch while you're going back in the past when you feel like this is just a prequel you're watching, But we now know that this is a little more than just a prequel. This is technically a sequel, and his sister Bobby Muschietti kind of made it clear that there's potential for a chapter 3 now because of this. So we could be in. So we're now
Yeah,
in a lot of
that
new
could be a
territory.
strong possibility too, right after. And also, which I was correct about, we are getting that 6 hour cut. So, I'm glad it's
Well,
gonna be happening.
he wants to bring out a 6 hour cut,
He's gonna do it.
which he's cut, which he shot so many scenes because I think the scene where you see Beverly made a quick cameo, I think that's like the scene where he shot from chapter one. It just never got into the theaters, and I think like he just used it to add it to the show, which I was cool with. I'm like, oh, okay, because at first I thought the CGI looked too good, but I'm like, wait a minute, is this a scene that he shot for chapter one that just never made it into the chapter one, because he shot a lot of footage for both movies that never made it to for his version to make it into theaters, because the book is just so many layers. It's just stuff that we haven't seen. Like there's a scene with Mike who's kind of, Pennywise is messing with him with Will's death and how he died in fire, which I'm like, oh shoot, which was a scene that he shot, just never made it into theaters. Then the shot with Henry's friend, which they didn't show because it was very graphic. There was another scene that just never made it into theater. So there's a lot of stuff that he shot never made it. So hopefully one day Netflix, Warner Brothers, whatever,
Yeah, whoever gets it.
whatever the hell's going on with that, they decide to greenlit this and give him a 6 hour cut. Because I think we'll get it eventually, and I'm really excited. I rewatched chapter one last night with my wife, and it really just added new layers after watching the show. You kind of see things a little more differently now after watching this first season of Welcome to Derry. It's kind of like with Rogue One, and after watching Andor, you go back and watch Rogue One. It's very different compared to just before you watched it. Just adds new layers and new lenses to what you're watching. But yeah, Marge and Richie, I was really surprised how that really worked out between the two characters. I like the moments they share. You see Richie really brought up Marge to being more herself and not really looking for approval or fitting in with, whether it's these people or the patty cake people or whatever. He brought her out as being herself and being okay with her, being comfortable. That was a great moment with her on the patty cakes where she kind of scared them away with her one eye, and Richie really trying to like bring her confidence back and really lift her after what happened to her. So those were other great moments. The actor who played Richie, I mean, phenomenal job. For a kid, he's very charismatic. I see him going into other places one day. Don't be surprised if DC or James Gunn or Matt Reeves are looking at him to be Robin in the Batman Brave and the Bold, or maybe in the Batman Chapter 2. I could see that kid, because of how charismatic he is. They could probably bring him in to play Robin, because I think he's still around that same age even now after the show came out. Digital, what do you think?
Yeah, I think honestly, what I think is really gonna happen is this, to be perfectly honest. And this is just my opinion on this. What I think they're gonna honestly do if they do the 6 hour cut, because I do believe it's gonna happen, the 6 hour cut, absolutely. However, I don't think it would go to theaters, and the reason why I'm gonna say this, people don't want to
I
sit.
wasn't talking about the 6 hour cut. I was talking about Richie and Marge in
Well,
the show.
oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
Richie and Marge, but we already know who they were. Like, dude, I said it before. I said, okay, his name is Richie. Rich. I said, okay, so that must be, Richie's dad. And oh no, I'm like, no, it has to be, because why is his name Rich?
Look, we knew there was no coincidence that they were introducing a character named Rich. We knew it was going to connect somehow.
Yeah, I did put the pieces together right on day one. Yeah.
Yeah, the minute we heard his name, we were like, oh, Richie or Rich. We are like, oh, okay. So that's going to connect somehow to chapter one, which we were all right. We just didn't know how at the time, but then we kind of, like most fans out, you kind of put two to two together, like, oh, okay, maybe it's the other thing from Marge.
Because I put the clues together and everything like that, and I said to myself, okay. Even I told myself, like, dude, I'm not a genius when it comes to like math or anything like that. But I'm like, all right, let me put the pieces together. And I said, either it's their parents or it's their grandparents, and that's what I said. And I was like, all right. Turns out I was correct about that.
Yeah, I mean, many people were correct, including myself.
Yeah, you too. Yeah. But we talked about it for a while. Yeah.
I just thought the characters with Richie was really good. He was definitely the other standout.
Oh, absolutely.
In episode 7, saving Marge and sacrificing himself. It was such a heartfelt, sad moment. Like, because they teased someone was going to die, and people kind of hinted it was going to be Richie, and we knew it was going to be Richie.
we
But we
knew
just
at
didn't
this.
we just didn't know how it was going to go about. Was Pennywise going to kill him? But
Yeah,
we saw what happened. It was still a very sad moment. But going into episode 8 with him coming back like an Egon moment as a
yeah,
ghost or a spirit, I just love the scene where he flips Pennywise because it's such a fuck yeah moment where you're like, man, like that was just fucking sweet.
yeah,
Um, you know, and just see him help his friends out with the pillar and getting into the tree to lock Pennywise back in the cage.
yeah,
Such a great moment, such a great payoff moment. Um, really one of the standout actors and characters. I mentioned Marge. I mentioned a little bit of Lily. Will was another one. I mean, the kids, like in chapter 1, when you watch chapter 1, the kids are the standout in the show. They were also the standout in this too. I also like the fact we have more adults involved as well. It wasn't like they were just clueless and just kind of looking a blind eye. We saw Leroy who kind of had kind of knowing what's going on. Charlotte was another one.
yeah,
General Shaw was someone who came back and knew what's going on. The whole Native American thing and how they know about Pennywise and it and how they've kind of been carrying this for God knows how long. And it's
yeah.
just it's so different, many different layers that I really like. And I'm just it was very different from the movies, and I thought that Musiati, but they all did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, of course,
You know,
absolutely. And the thing
uh,
is, I also
yeah.
wanted to say this too. Like, I'm just gonna be real with it. I forgot that soldier's name. I'm just gonna say it. He was fucking stupid for doing that.
Oh, General Shaw, yeah, the
Yeah,
big
yeah,
reveal of him, yeah, General
you're
Shaw.
stupid for that. If you honestly thought like, like, oh, that yeah, Pennywise wasn't gonna smell your fear right when he knew who the hell you were. Oh yeah, he's gonna
Yeah,
turn right into something you're afraid of.
James Rema, who he's a great actor. If you
Yeah.
probably see him in, playing Dexter's dad,
Well,
or
I did many a times.
yeah, phenomenal actor. He did a good job making you like him in the beginning, but you knew something was off with him. And then the big reveal, I think in like episode 7, where like the goal was to release Pennywise, across the world and try to bring back the good old days that Shaw believed that Pennywise could do, and obviously that backfired straight in his face. I mean, it caused more hell because he was supposed to go back to sleep, knowing that he was, his cage opened up. Of course, he's not going to sleep. It's playtime for him, but yeah, he got what he deserved. The other thing was the military being used to kind of cover up what they did and let Leroy go, let Holloran go. I'm sure Hank was the other one they let go too. They kind of like, what? Let's keep our hands clean. Let's get the fuck out of here. We'll
Yep.
make up some friggin' bullshit story. We'll have it classified. Yada yada yada.
Exactly.
And that's what they did.
Yeah.
Um, which kind of an easy out, but you kind of expect that's like probably why the military was here in the first place, to kind of cover things up after everything became a shitstorm.
Yeah, it just seems to me it's like you honestly thought you were going to like let a supernatural creature like that you thought you can control it. Yeah, you thought wrong because it just fucking ate you, bro.
Well, no, that was the beginning. He said they were going to control it, but then he was like, but the reveal was they weren't trying to control it. They were just going to release it to the world.
Yeah, they were gonna
You
release it,
know,
but even like
yeah.
Pennywise is like not gonna pass up a good meal. Like, come on, dude.
Well, he was ready to go. Like I said, he was ready to eat the everybody in junior high or middle school, like and he was supposed to be asleep. It's like, nope, it is playtime, and I'm going after all the kids because I don't have to use magic tricks or holograms to lure them in. I can just go after them.
Exactly.
And he was, again, like, it just shows you Bill Skarsgård and stuff like that, and it also kind of explains why he went after Will once he got out of the cage, because he was like, not only it's freedom, but I can go after a kid that's connected to the loser club, and go after Mike's dad.
Yeah.
He was the first one he went right after, like that was the first thing he did, and that knowing what we know now, but what Pennywise's goal explains a lot why he went after Mike right away. I mean, Will right away. And Will not being afraid of him, which is why he didn't eat him. He was like, it's.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. He kind of realized since Will's not afraid of him, he's just gonna have him float until he gets him to be afraid again.
Yeah. Of course.
The other thing is the actor who played Holleran. I thought he was just phenomenal in a lot of scenes. The actor who played him, Chris Chalk, if I'm, I hope I'm correct saying it correctly, who played Dick Halloran. I mean, he was just the actor's phenomenal. I mean, there's people out there like myself who would like to see a spinoff. Maybe we get a Shining. Maybe we get like a kind of like a Shining miniseries or something with that actor playing Halloran again in the hotel before Jack Tarrant and his family comes. Maybe we get Torrance. Maybe we get something with the hotel that he kind of knew about and try to keep a lid on. I don't know. There's so many possibilities you can do now because now you kind of have him at the end saying, you know, I'm gonna be going to work at a hotel. It can't be that bad. So
Yeah, I actually liked all the characters. I thought they were very cast
I
well.
just love, and I love the parts where he's just like, "Fuck this," or you know, the other moments was like how he tricked Pennywise, you know, when he was about to eat Marge, where he got into his head and made him think he was back in 1908.
I love
And
that. Yeah, you could tell.
Bob
Yeah,
Gray.
you could tell something was up, and when he actually did that, I'm like, yeah, that was
Yep.
cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was, you know, and he stalled for him for a while too, and Marge got away. It was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because at first you're like, what happened? But then you kind of know Halloran tricked him. And it goes back to Rose and the tribe really helping him out to close the voices from the dead people that was talking to him, you know, and I don't know, just made me want to go back and watch Doctor Sleep again and go back mainly Doctor Sleep. I mean, I don't mind watching The Shining, but Doctor Sleep is another good a good sequel. You know, and you kind of see some of the stuff that Halloran had to deal with, that Danny had to deal with in some levels. So there's so much stuff we don't know about Halloran that they kind of tease with his grandmother, his father, grandfather, and stuff that Pennywise was doing to him that really messed him up. The actor is just phenomenal and really brought different layers. He was very by far one of the most likable characters on the show. Like you know,
That's true.
What do you think of the Black Spot? What's your thoughts on that?
I enjoyed that for what that was and everything like that. Don't get me wrong, but I
Yeah,
honestly like appreciated more of Pennywise's origin story of what we actually
we
find
got
out
we
what
got bits and pieces of it. We didn't
we
get the
did. We
whole
did.
origin.
Like,
We
so
got
that
some
kid was actually the creature.
right, and that's how he learned about Pennywise.
Yes.
It definitely brought up some other interesting things because like when Pennywise says he sees time differently, all those flashbacks could be him just bouncing around in time. You know,
Yeah.
while we're watching 1962, he could be currently in 1908, 1935, and 1988, 89 or 88. You know, or and in 2000, I think 16 with in chapter 2. So he could be, you know, again, he sees time very differently, and seeing the fact that the show kind of gave you a little bit of 1935 and a little bit of 1908, kind of teased you that without actually acknowledging it till the very end. You know, I can't wait to see what they do next. But the thing I hope they so let's talk about season 2 since we'll talk a little bit about season 2.
All right, go ahead.
What are you hoping to see in season 2? I'll let you start first.
What I'm actually hoping to see, I believe, like going back in time and we'll see their grandparents. I could be wrong about that. I'm not quite sure, you know. Honestly hope it takes place in a time. I think it's taking place at the time of the Great Depression, if I'm correct
It
about
is. It's going to be in 1935. That's where
that.
it's
Okay.
taking place. We got
All
a
right.
tease of it with Engren, who's still the nurse at Jupiter, and we saw a
Yeah.
little bit of there's probably the only tease we got of 1935. I think they gave us a little more of 1908 than 35.
Okay. So it's probably gonna also take place in like gang territory and everything like that, if I'm guessing that.
Right, because they tease the whole gang massacre with the town
Yes.
massacring some kind of
Yeah.
gangster thing. So, which they tease in the introduction. They tease some other stuff. I know in 1908, that's with the children, the explosion, and the massacre of the kids. We
Yep.
saw a little tease of that in chapter 1. When I rewatched chapter 1, they kind of when you watch, I think it was Stan reading the book or going through the history of Derry, that was something they teased. So um, that's been another thing I'm really looking forward to because I feel like 1908, maybe we see Pennywise or it. You know, after he kills Bob Gray, he's just pretending to be Bob Gray and see how far he can get away with it. Maybe,
Exactly.
you know, that could be season 3. Season 2, I kind of hope they don't just bring back another batch of kids to go after Pennywise. Let's kind of change it up a little bit. Maybe we have you know, a couple of parents or something or whatever that's trying to find Pennywise to get vengeance on the kids that he killed. I don't know. Maybe that's gonna be something new, something different than let's bring back the same kids, another batch of kids going after Pennywise, because that's
Yeah.
gonna get tired pretty easily.
No, great. Um, like I said before, season two is probably going to come out like next year, and they'll probably release it either September or October. That's what I think.
They haven't announced when it's coming. We know it's going to
I'm
be
just
coming
guessing.
because they haven't. I think right now they're still working on it, so I don't think.
Yeah.
I think they would start shooting next year, and maybe they're going for a 2027 release date.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Because TVs today now it takes 2 years to make a good quality show now. Then let's kind of push it out right away. Let's get the execs to give the approval before we drop the first premiere. And things have changed since then.
True.
You know. Um, yeah. Do you think there's a possibility of getting a chapter three after season 2 and 3 are over? Do you think they tie everything to a chapter 3 movie?
It is a strong possibility. We have to
Yeah.
wait and see.
I mean, I'm very curious now because they are setting some high expectations after season 1
Oh
and
yeah.
teasing fans with like the possibility of other things, which I'm like, oh, that's exciting, but also be careful. Don't make any promises if things fall apart in season 2 and season 3, lands on a bad ending. You gotta be a little careful. But it sounds like the Musettis have an idea of how this series is going to end, and the goal is how do we get there. That's what I'm hoping they already have planned.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. Um, what do you think of the surprise cameo of Beverly? I know we mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, I actually love that. Dude, I was surprised and shocked about that. And I was like, okay, all right. Now we know what really happened, how the father went crazy and everything like that
Yeah.
because his own wife hung herself. So I get,
Right. And just to
yeah.
clarify, if you haven't read the book, that's not like Beverly. Lily is not the mother of Beverly. I mean, that's a
No.
complete, yeah. If you don't know, that's not Lily who committed suicide.
No, no, I know.
Lily, we don't really know what happened to Lily. I think the character Ronnie, maybe a different version of the character, the book. I think she died in the book, where in this they kept her, they let her live, and her and her dad leave Derry together, and maybe that ends up being Will's mom. We don't know. I mean, Mike's mom. We just don't know, but we know that we had a really good moment with Will and Ronnie, which was cool. It's nice to see that her and her dad got away and walked off from the sunset. They kind of had a happy ending. What do you think of the part where the Hanlons got the farm and Leroy's going to be a sheep farmer, which ties into chapter 1 because he owns the farm.
That definitely
Yeah.
ties into it about what happened to Michael's parents and everything. Like you start right there. Yeah. Very
Yeah.
well done. So yeah, called that too. So eventually that was going to happen. So everything is tying in slowly and surely.
Yeah, even the chapter 2 stuff where they kind of tease some Native Americans in like a
Yep.
flashback or something, which was
Yeah.
pretty cool. So they're fleshing the Native Americans and their external look at what Pennywise and it would have been doing.
I loved everything about this. Like I can go in more detail for more than about 2 hours talking
Oh,
about
me too. I mean, it's
know,
just
and
so many things to talk about this show.
this
I mean,
yeah. And I'll be real with it. My score for this is a 10 out of 10. I have no complaints about it. None.
I give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
There are some moments that kind of drag a little bit with them between uh, I say like between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
4 was really good. I mean, the show got better and better with each episode, which each episode felt like that's the better episode.
Right.
You know, there's some moments where I felt like kind of dragged on. I think going into the second half, I think they didn't really know what to do with Lily. They gave her like the pillar, and she
Well,
kind
the
of turned
pillar
to
makes
Gollum a little bit because she didn't want to give it
pillar
up.
makes people go crazy because they don't want to
Yeah.
give it up. Or the pillar just wants to go home. Plain and simple.
Yeah, so that was one thing I kind of noticed in the second half where Lily took a back seat, and it was the Hanlons who were front and center with Charlotte, Leroy, Will, Ronnie, and Hank, and then the Richie and Marge stuff. So I was like, okay, so because I kind of sold it Lily being like the protagonist in the show, which I felt like she took a back seat, and she literally did took a back seat. I think, and during the black spot, she was at home with the pillar. We didn't really know much what was going on until the very end, where um, they let her know what happened to Richie. And
Yeah.
that was one thing I was like, okay, you didn't really know what to do with Lily. It felt like you got told her whole story. Like in my opinion, I would have killed her off at the end of episode 5. Was it 5? Yeah, episode 5.
Yeah, I could understand that.
I
There
would
was
have killed her off at
some
the end of episode
some
5.
people didn't like that character, which is understandable. I get it.
Yeah.
But also, I wanted to say this too. If you guys are looking to pre-order it, it's already up now on Amazon, Steelbook Edition and regular edition on Blu-ray. Grab it before they say all sold out or whatever. Even though it's not out yet, you know how
Yeah.
they are. Grab it quickly.
Yeah, I guess just more think about it now. I think it would have been smart to kill Lily off at the end of episode 5. There was no reason for it. That's why I kind of give it a 9 out of 10. Like there should have been some more kills in this. Like Charlotte should have been killed off. Ronnie should have been killed off. Lily should have been killed off. Obviously, they gave us the Rich killed off, but it should have been Marge, Will, uh, Leroy, Hanlon. Leroy Hanlon, Dick Halloran. They should have been the ones that should have walked away out of this whole chaotic mess. With Lily, Charlotte, and obviously Richard, they all get killed off, but that's not the plan. They kind of gave Leroy and Charlotte and Will a happy ever after. Same with Hank and Ronnie, which I'm like, should have killed them all. Should have killed more people off because they would explain why Leroy is so in a dark place when we meet him in chapter 1.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense and everything like that.
But they kind of gave it a happy ending, which I'm like, all right, like that's the only reason why I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Also, I wanted to say this too is and this is also kind of like multiverse, to be perfectly honest, because and here's the thing,
that's a possibility,
yeah, a strong possibility
because where he alternate time,
true.
alternate time,
Before Marvel or anyone else, guess who was really doing the multiverse? Stephen King and the books. Facts.
But, yeah, I mean, with a show, it's possible that because Pennywise was so focused on trying to kill the loser's parents, he didn't kill Ronnie, he didn't kill Hank, he didn't kill Charlotte. Where maybe in an alternate world, now it's Leroy, Charlotte, who are alive with Will, and they're just preparing for 27 years later when Pennywise comes back again.
Yeah.
It's a different timeline, but Pennywise in his own way of trying to survive changes the time again.
Facts.
But maybe in an alternate world, it's not just these kids, but it's also now Leroy and maybe an older Charlotte, are more involved. Maybe Mike, who kind of knows that he hasn't, he maybe he survives the fire. Maybe Marjorie, who still remembers about her having a son named Richie and knows Pennywise. Like they kind of alternate time. They kind of alternate the story, the timeline, because Pennywise was just out for vengeance, and that's a good possibility. I'm not saying it's true, but it could make a little more sense because 27 years later, they all forget what happened.
True.
But do we have anything else you want to talk about? I think we talked a little about season 2. We did talk about possibly.
Oh, I wanted to say also season 3 is also going to be made too. Yeah.
Yeah, they announced 2 and 3. I mean, season 1 has been such a success, and that's one thing I say for HBO Max. For 2 years in a row, they've given us some really good stuff. Another spin-off series out of a movie. Last year was the Penguin with the Batman, and this with it.
Talk about this too. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it would be cool if they re-release the Steelbook editions. Have a good Steelbook editions, even if they're not going to be the director's cut. I would buy those. If they decide to do those in a special limited edition collector's edition, maybe an Amazon exclusive or something like that. Maybe I don't know, next year. I would definitely pick that up.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we're going to get something like that next year. Right now, you can catch streaming on HBO Max. I mean, do you have anything else? How about this? Let's rank our order right now with the series. Chapter 1 to me is a 9.5 out of 10.
I agree with that.
Derry is a 9 out of 10. And then Chapter 2, I would give it like a 7.5. I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I would, mostly because let's be real. We're going to be real with that. I'll be 100% real. The problem is I never understood why they can never get It Chapter 2 done the correct. It always had problems, even with the old one and everything like that with Tim Curry. Yeah. I never understood why.
I think because they're adults and they're kind of, I don't know. It's like because Chapter 2 for the movie, they kind of gave you 2 things in one, where you have the adults versions on the way to Derry to meet with Mike and all this other stuff. And the same with the TV show. The TV show, when Mike's reaching out to each and every one of them, they're reliving moments in their childhood because they forgot all about how Pennywise dramatized them. in the movie for the movie, it was a little bit of that, but it's also like they're not giving you the kids version. We already saw that in chapter one. Chapter two is them just kind of reminiscing of what happened thanks to Mike, who never left and remembered like, hey, like he's back. We got to be ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting because again, it just goes back to Welcome to Derry with Leroy being around. Like you would think, 27 years later, you should be ready for this motherfucker, but maybe because he lost his son and everything else, he just has no hope anymore. Like obviously, something else happened in his life that made him very bitter.
True.
You know, um, but again, I think that's all I got, man. I feel like we kind of covered a lot. We gave our
We,
thoughts.
we did, we
You
did.
know,
I was gonna say a couple more things or whatever, and
yeah, go
also,
ahead. Maybe you have anything more to talk
yeah,
about.
also when you come
Welcome to
out
Derry.
with the steelbook edition of you know, it chapters 1 and 2, have them together with the steelbook, and then like have a hologram on them. You know what I mean? Like a
Yeah,
big
absolutely.
ass booklet, stuff like that. And then someday along the line, like whenever we get that 6 hour cut, I'll definitely pick that up. Like I said before, I don't believe it's gonna go to theaters. We'll probably go to streaming service before anything. First of all, yeah.
Probably. I mean, I think what last year, 2 years ago, they came out with a Rocky Four director's cut, which was like a
Yes, they did.
4 hour thing.
I remember that. Yeah.
So it's a possibility with streaming you can get a 6 hour cut of something. It's just a matter of if if Netflix or Paramount, whoever buys Warner Brothers, whatever, um, dishes the money up for Muschietti to put that together.
True.
And I'm excited for season two. It really got me more excited to see where we go next. What other ascendants we're gonna see, or predecessors of the loser clubs that we see in 1935 that we haven't seen yet. Are we gonna see Bill's great grandparents? Are we gonna see Beverly's great grandparents, or connection, or great uncle, or whatever, like or Ben's parents, or something, like I'm very curious to see who else um that they kind of connect into this. But I kind of hope they change it up and we don't just see kids again. Let's change it up where we got like the parents who are self-aware that there's this creature killing kids and they probably killed their kids and they're looking for this thing. Maybe that would be the story for season two. Who knows? But it'll be a good change.
We'll see. We'll see what happens and everything
Yeah.
later. Like I said, there have been like for it, it chapters 1 and 2. There have been so many scenes that have been cut from that film. It's not even funny.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
crazy because like I said before, I do believe we were supposed to get that cut. It's just with a bunch of stuff happening and
Well, he
COVID.
talked about. I remember he talked about after when chapter two was coming out, where he said that
Yeah.
there was a 3 hour, a
Correct.
3.5 hour
Yes.
cut of chapter two because a lot of stuff was shot and never made it into the theaters.
Yeah.
Because chapter two was like a 2 hour and 20 minute movie, and they kind of
Yep.
pushed a lot of things together.
We felt like how like even when we were in the theater watching it, even I felt like things were like kind of like rushing or whatever. I didn't even want to feel like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a 6 hour cut, you could have split that into 3 movies.
Correct.
Chapter one was technically a 2 hour movie.
Yep.
Chapter two could have been a 2 hour movie, and then chapter three could be, the losers reuniting, going after Pennywise in Derry. Which totally should have been. That you would have got a trilogy.
It should have made it a trilogy, to be perfectly
Yep.
honest. Yeah.
Do you ever think we'll get the turtle?
Yes, absolutely.
I think we will get him. I do like a lot of the turtle
I think
presence.
he'll
and the
probably
turtle
either
references.
show up either in season 2 or by the end of season 2 or season 3. That's what I think is going to happen.
Maybe season three. I guess season three where we get a payoff to that. I do like one thing I got to say about Welcome to Derry. I really liked was the some of the Stephen King universe. Like we got a lot of references to Shawshank Redemption, a nod to The Mist, obviously The Shining, which was another big thing as well. So if HBO Max or Muschietti or Andy Muschietti, if they're smart, fans want to see a Dick Hallorann show, like bring that, just do something. Give us a 4 episode miniseries or something. The guy's still young. There's 15 years between him leaving Derry and meeting the Torrances. So that'll be something.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for us. For those who tune in and listen, thank you so much. Appreciate it. If you're new, please subscribe, click a like. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night. Peace out.
Take care, y'all. Have
Later.
a good one. And remember, y'all float down here.
We all float down here.
All right, guys.